Thank you for joining us for our seventh episode of Sex, Drugs, and Spirituality as we discuss sexual healing and look at the importance of embracing sacred sexuality. By understanding this divine energy that resides within us all. But before we delve into our main topic, allow us to introduce ourselves.
I'm Jackie Lyons of Akashic Energy Healing.
And I'm Elizabeth Maria of Elizabeth Maria Unlimited.
And together, we are the hosts of Sex, Drugs, and Spirituality, where we navigate the power of personal growth, self-discovery, through exploration and acceptance of our shadow selves.
Thank you so much, Jackie. And thank you guys for joining us today as we discuss sexual healing and embracing sacred sexuality. When it comes to delving into the depths of the human experience, the significance of healing sexual energy is profound. In her groundbreaking work, The Sexual Healing Journey, Wendy Malt states, sexual healing and general recovery need to work together in the same way that music and lyrics work together to make a song. They alternate and blend at different times. They are complementary, not isolated experiences. So if you're a listener today that's on your own sexual healing journey, know that this form of healing, like, any form of healing, it comes in stages and it is not necessarily a linear experience. As you listen to our suggestions on sexual healing taken from our own journeys and exploration, please know that this process is sacred and highly personal. Go at your own pace and know that the journey is yours to take when you're ready. The basics to sexual healing, based on Maltz's work, help survivors identify the sexual effects of sexual abuse, eliminate negative sexual behavior and resolve specific problems, gain control over upsetting automatic reactions to touch and sex, and it helps to develop a healthy sexual self-concept. If you are someone recovering, by just being open to listening to this podcast or reading about this important process can be an empowering first step. So congratulate yourselves for being open. Jackie, do you agree to these basics of, the sexual healing process? And how have these concepts manifested in your life?
I do agree, Elizabeth. And after investigating the research, it has deepened my understanding of the subject. Currently, I'm in the early stages of learning about this concept and understanding how to comprehend how it has greatly influenced my life. Until about last year, I always believed I was asexual. For those who are unfamiliar with that term, it refers to someone who does not experience physical sexual desire. For me, I found comfort and security in partners who had extremely high libidos. This power dynamic allowed me to feel safe and in control, as my partners would desire something that I didn't need or want sexually. And I allowed that to serve as a safety net. I had never felt any deep feelings towards engaging in sexual activity. However, it was recently that I discovered that this was actually an adverse effect based on the trauma that I experienced during my childhood. As mentioned in a previous episode, I shared an interesting event where I had this intensely sexual dream. This experience revealed to me that I am capable of experiencing sexual desire on a physical level. So currently, I am on a journey of redefining and better understanding this energy and the role and effects that it has had on my life. So at this stage, I have not yet felt comfortable enough to explore these new areas with a partner. I'm actively working on seeing myself as a confident woman who expresses her sexuality. Later on in this podcast, I will discuss how I am working on reshaping my personal views in order to effectively manage and utilize this sexual energy.
Mhm.
Elizabeth, could you please take a minute to express your thoughts on Maltz's work?
Thank you so much, Jackie, for sharing your experience, and just for your vulnerability. I have chills all through me, and I know that for the listeners out there, just know that wherever you're at in your journey, you're not alone. That we are. We're journeying through with you. And so, as a survivor, I have definitely gone through these steps to help me on my journey of sexual healing. And like Jackie mentioned, this is a stage in my healing journey that I've really just started focusing on as well. And so I believe that just identifying, Jackie, like you said, like not, like just it's like just learning that these things are even connected, and it seems so simple to see it, but it really isn't, because there's such an interwoven web of issues that result from childhood trauma, and so just identifying the effects of sexual abuse, are just so multifaceted and, like I said, often woven into so many different facets of our life. But becoming aware that there is a problem and beginning to have, just that natural desire to do something about it is the beginning of the healing process. And so for me, this started when, after years of keeping silent, I finally spoke out to authorities against an assailant. And I want to just insert that I am someone that experienced multiple like re-trauma, like I in my attempt to work through the pattern, I ended up in situations where I just became re-traumatized over and over and over. And so this was against actually, yeah, I guess like the last like huge incident. I remember clearly waking up that next morning, and the first thought that came to me was, and now the healing can begin. And I knew that regardless of the outcome of the case, that by finally just standing up for myself and truly beginning to practice self-worth and saying, you know what, this is not okay, that I was ready to begin healing my divine feminine energy, that I had self-abused and allowed others to abuse for a really long time. And you guys have heard about, some of my experiences in our past podcasts, but I was in a very dark place. And this was, 4 years ago. And this is after, I mean, and I know that for those of y'all that are listening, I'm so hoping that this doesn't deter you. Because my healing journey has taken a really, really long time, but it does not have to be the case for you guys. But, I went through years of unsatisfactory sexual relationships. I went through 6 years of complete abstinence where I thought that I was working on my inner self, but really and I've talked about this before too, just really I was working on the exterior, which is important as well. But, during that 6 years, I still wasn't able to go as deep as I needed to. And so just, gosh, have patience with yourself, guys, because after that 6 years, and during that 6 years, I could barely even look or talk to men that I was attracted to. It was like I resorted back to those preteen years where I couldn't even make eye contact. And so, for those of you that are listening, just making eye contact with yourself in the mirror is progress. It took me 6 years of being able to, even kind of express the feelings that I was having, towards men. So, it's huge in the, like, looking back at my progress, from that, from really knowing that the sexual healing journey was ready. I was ready for it. And I remember, because the voice just came in my head, and, the chills all through my body. And I'll talk a little bit later about some of the rituals that I started doing to help me to release this dense energy. But just know, guys, to have patience and compassion for your progress. And yeah, that's what I have to say around that right now.
Thank you so much for your vulnerability and your awareness of the behaviors that have led you to this point. Is so beautiful to hear you talk back about it. I understand how challenging spending 50 years of your life in a state of disconnection from your own sexual energy can be.
Yeah.
And we are learning through your experience. So thank you for sharing that, Elizabeth. It really means so much to me. And I know there are people out there who are going through the same thing. Women, especially, are very disconnected from their own sense of sexuality. And I really want to make a few points here that when you are ready, embracing sexual sensuality and recognizing the concept of sacred sexuality will begin to open you up to a world of knowledge, intimacy, connection that will begin to transcend traditional boundaries. Today, we want to focus our discussion around alchemizing and integrating sexual energy by learning sexual healing techniques as a way to harness the potential for a full mind, body, and spirit transformation. Sacred sexual energy is an inherent force that exists within each individual. This is regardless of their gender, regardless of sexual orientation. As Napoleon Hill discusses in his phenomenal book, Think and Grow Rich, sex desire is the most powerful of the human desires. He says this before explaining that learning to harness sexual power and then redirect it through other means may be a powerful, creative force that you can use in any of your creative endeavors, such as literature, art, and the accumulation of riches. Hill wrote about the power of sexual energy in 1937 because sexual energy embodies the innate power that originates from our life force. This encompasses our desire, our passion, as well as our creativity. And he, like countless practitioners, know that beyond mere physical sensation, sexual energy possesses the capacity to deepen our connection with ourselves, others, as well as the world around us. But to truly master the art of sensuality, one must cultivate a deep awareness and appreciation for our own physical presence and sexual experiences. It is important to engage all of our senses to derive pleasure and satisfaction from each passing moment. This heightened sense of sensuality strengthens our connection with our bodies and can lead to a more fulfilling and vibrant life. As Michael Mildred, author of An Introduction to Tantric and Sacred Sexuality, explains, the ultimate goal for us is to experience, first, a union with God, second, a union with our own being, including our mind, body, and soul, and third, a potential union with partners. Sacred sexuality is a spiritual approach to intimacy that recognizes and acknowledges the interconnectedness of the physical, emotional, and spiritual realms. It involves embracing sexuality as a sacred act. Sacred sexuality promotes a holistic perspective on body positive connection with self and when having sexual encounters. This approach emphasizes the importance of self-love, consent, communication, and mutual respect. Today, we are going to discuss sexual energy from the book The Energy Secret by Jane Alexander. Our objective is to understand, explore, and learn to heal personal sexual energy by trying some of the techniques that are highlighted within Chapter 7. If you have your own book, it's between pages 100 to 111. And we do encourage you to read this book. Try some of these techniques at your own pace. You can choose to do these with or without a sexual partner. So, Elizabeth, could you please take a moment to share your thoughts on this chapter? And I'd also really like to hear your opinion on any specific aspect of this section of the book that really spoke to you.
Okay, thank you, Jackie. Yeah, just a lot of information. And definitely, when we were doing the research for this podcast, it really opened me up to, and I mean, it makes sense because sexual energy is, that is like the base of, the human, experience on so many levels, literally, that's how we get here. And so the importance of that is just, it's just phenomenal. And I know for me, someone that is moving away from honestly using this sexual energy lightly, if you will, without really connecting to the sacred and divine, meaning of it. It's just been indispensable to learn about practitioners that have a lot more experience than I do in this sector. Yeah, so I wanted to thank you, Jackie, for introducing me to Jane Alexander's work and the chapter Sexual Energy. It was incredibly eye-opening, and it was a wonderful way to begin to understand what sexual energy is and the importance of harnessing, right? So that to me is like bringing your own, like harnessing your own sexual energy and nourishing our own sexual expression for ourselves. And I did also want to just go back to when you were mentioning gosh, what was that, guys? Oh yeah, Michael Mildred's is, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. But his 3 steps, and really the first one, that union with God. And so knowing that sexual energy is a divine expression, and then and so we build from that first, that energy being a divine expression within the self, to then being able to express that in a consensual way with a partner. And so like we've discussed, I am definitely at the beginning of this process. And so her chapter, I loved how she broke it down into sections. I'll just go kind of through each point that she made and kind of just talk about how it made me feel. So she discussed a lot about just getting in touch with your own sensuality through touch and through, and I was thinking about, for me, this is something that in the list of, the way that you begin to heal yourself, one of them is gaining the control over upsetting automatic reactions to touch and sex. And so by becoming aware of the importance of connecting to, soft and gentle and sensual touch, for me, has been huge. One, and understanding that, I still, like, I'm someone that still gets startled very easily. I get jumpy, if someone walks up behind me. I still have that energy in me that I'm, releasing. And so some of my responses to gentle touch it's kind of the same way sometimes. Like I want to jump back, still. And again, so, guys, if, for those of you that are listening, you've made it this far, just know wherever you're at is a perfect stage, because, this is some really hard stuff. And so it brought that up for me. And so honestly, like when I was reading that section, I just started touching my arms and kind of giving myself like a hug, and just like, okay, Elizabeth, like this is good. And it also, really connects with my work with somatic healing, somatic touch, and getting like tapping. I started thinking about that idea. And that was something that I did um I started doing, gosh, years ago, really before the accelerated part, just to get me back in my body. If I got triggered about something, was I would just like tap my leg, so that touch. And the last thing that it really brought up was when interacting with men, I still find myself, it's like I don't want gentle touch. Like I'll joke with my guy friends and like punch them in the arm and be like, that's a love punch, And I'm like, that's as close as you can get. you know? So, oh God, I got to bring humor into this. But yeah, so touch is huge. And so just, allowing myself to begin to be gentle to my own body has been huge in the process. She also discussed how sexual energy is expressed as an animal. And I went into my Leo energy when I was reading that section. And while I have not practiced, this approach with a partner, I totally imagined it. And I had a lot of fun just being like in my head, like my animal, like rah, my animal self. And I love the idea of just connecting, because, sex as a physical expression, especially with a partner, it's a physical base, animalistic expression of this divine God energy. And so it's just huge. So I loved her idea of really embracing that animal side. And I'm looking forward to that. With a partner one day. And oh goodness, guys. I'm like blushing. What? So she also touched on tantric yoga, which has been practiced for over 6,000 years. I mean, what? And, tantric aims to unite the male and female forces within one's own body. And this was interesting because I had looked at tantric as just a practice with a partner. And so it was very eye-opening to me to see and to learn about this tantric yoga that, doesn't have to be with a partner. It's about connecting that divine masculine and feminine within the self. And so I also enjoyed how she discussed the tantric mythology, that the goddess Shakti, I guess, you guys can correct me, and the god Shiva were one until the universe split into two and creation became divided into positive and negative energies. That really spoke to me too, because I'm thinking as above, so below. So, that's the process within our own bodies of like splitting and then coming back together in this, holy union of ourselves. And so that really resonated with me. And the last part of this chapter that really stood out to me, and Jackie, we're totally going to have to do an entire another podcast on, the abuse of power within worldwide tantric circles. This is something that I have not researched, but I do know that, it's kind of, a lot of people like to kind of mix the idea of spiritual practices and cult practices and stuff like that. And And so I think we're definitely going to do a podcast on, just organizations that have, misused that power, and just what a horrible, I mean, to me, and that's judgment, and there is no judgment. We're all expressions of God. But, for those of you that are listening, this is a very sacred and an individual journey. And so just be aware of the practitioners that you decide to do this type of journey with. Just popped into my head several cases from two different female friends that I know. One who really ended up being taken advantage of by a male practitioner, and then another one who actually lived in a community, and there was also, and no offense to that, masculine energy, the not masculine leadership energy, but she also felt taken advantage of by the leader of this organization. And, we're really moving in towards an idea of there not being any leaders, right? I love, like, one of my Facebook friends, his motto is be your own guru. And I totally believe that. So just know that when you are journeying and doing this work, just be careful out there in them spiritual streets, guys. Yeah, so Jackie, have you implemented any of the practices from the chapter, and how, if so, how has it helped with your journey?
Yes, I have. And just a minute to touch back on some of the stuff that you discussed
Mm.
is that I am also very early into the stages, and I do not have a partner to explore some of the additional practices that she highlights throughout this chapter. And I will get there. I will find somebody who can meet me at that level, and I can express these challenges that I've had in this area, and we will work together to build this tantric balanced masculine feminine energy. And it really did speak to me, and I'm very much like you. I really get off on touching other people. I love rubbing my kids' hair or my partner's hair, and I'm really get a lot of energy, satisfaction by being able to touch other people. But being touched myself has always been a challenge, and it remains a challenge to me at this time. So I was not ready to implement some of the additional rituals, but one that really spoke to me was on page 101, and it is mirror work. And even this, I'm going to give you a brief description of the way that she describes it, and then I will kind of give you my take on it. And she talks about using a full length mirror and, lighting up the room with some nice candles, maybe some sensual smells, and undressing in front of the mirror and really focusing on parts of your body that you like. I know somebody might be thinking out there, I don't like any part of my body. Well, you might like your eyes or your ears or your fingers. So really focusing on the parts of your body that you do love at first, and then allowing yourself to gaze upon your naked body, telling yourself how beautiful you are, and telling yourself how you have maybe previously judged certain areas, and really just becoming comfortable looking at yourself as a divine individual in your fullest extension of yourself, naked and free to the world. And she suggests doing that for about 20 minutes. And even this was a little challenging for me to be able to do, because I don't have a lot of comfort in seeing myself naked. And she suggests to sit, with your legs spread open, looking at your genitalia, and really encompassing the fullest form of beauty in your body. And I was just not ready to do that yet either. It was a little too much for me. It gave me anxiety. So I decided to reshape this for myself and just take a sexy photo, bottoms on, and then through that photo, stare at that photo for about 10 minutes a night encompassing and letting myself know that I'm beautiful and that I do have this sexual energy, and not focusing on the fact that my boobs are two different sizes, or whatever else I would pick apart on my own personal body, and really embody love for who I am as a divine feminine, love my body, love my face. And I have started that process. I did take an additional step further, and I have booked a boudoir session with a beautiful photographer here in my city to try to take that a little bit further. She is a female photographer. She does this professionally. She's been doing it for 8 years. I've been following her page for 8 years. And funny thing is, it came across my feed this morning, and my session is tomorrow. And I saw that 8 years ago, I was already kind of thinking about this step to look at myself in that way. And it'll be really exciting to do that and work with somebody else when you're, in various states of undress. And I'm super excited about it. So I will get back to that a little bit later to let you guys know how the experience went and what has transpired since then. But that's kind of where I'm at currently. And that's the practice that I really focused on for myself. I see the value in all of the work, and I will get there. But at the stage where I'm at right now, that is kind of what I use to just begin to reshape and view myself as this divine, beautiful feminine that I am. And thank you for allowing me to share that, Elizabeth. And I just want to know, did you do any other rituals that you saw through the book that you thought were beneficial for where you're at right now?
Yeah. And thank you so much, Jackie. I mean, again, like, God, I mean, when you were speaking, just chills of, connection, understanding, being there. Once again, thank you for your honesty when, approaching this subject. And I will tell you guys about the ritual that I did. But just about like the things that came up for me with mirror work, I immediately started thinking of Louise Hayes, and we didn't really touch on her, but she was really big with mirror work and, doing those affirmations. And so I actually have like little post-it notes that I put on my mirror. And one of them is, it says, "Well, hello, beautiful." And that's how I say it. And so when I stand in front of the mirror, I'll say that like when I get out of the shower or something. But let me tell you that it has taken me years to get to that. But these rituals have helped. And so I'm going to talk about the bath ritual. And this was the ritual that I started doing actually from Peter Levine's work, because he talks about a bath shower ritual. And I think I'm gonna say Peter Levine's name every episode. He is my guy. Guys, you gotta read Waking, what is it? Waking the Tiger. Anyways, so what I did was I started doing that ritual, that somatic healing exercise about 4 years ago. And that was really, when I think I consciously, like I said earlier, consciously started this healing journey. I didn't really call it a sexual healing journey until now, and I'm realizing what I'm doing. But yeah, so that popped up. The thing that I wanted to say is that, just the, like, when you were talking about going through your ritual and how you were feeling anxiety about, doing a full, leg spread. And so you were able to, modify your ritual. I really want to emphasize to our listeners that you guys do what feels good and natural in your body. If any anxiety comes up, then it is okay. Be gentle with yourself. I have a tendency of jumping into the deep end with things. And so the first time that I did this bath ritual, I completely, um, I swear, and this was, when I was in Pennsylvania and I was at that women's shelter, and they had the most glorious bath. And after I took a very hot bath, and it was just, and then I, did, and I'll go through the actual steps of it in just a second. But when I got out of the bath, I felt like I was just releasing so much dark, dense energy that I started shaking. I started hyperventilating. I like for about 30 seconds, I thought I was gonna die. And so I say this to, let the listeners know that this type of, healing work can be pretty intense. And so for something like a bath ritual, you may want to build up to something like this. Our bodies are comprised of over 80% water. And so I believe that the energy and doing any type of water ritual just heightens, the experience so much. And so after reading, um, what is it? Alexander's, is that her last name? Yeah, Jane Alexander's work. I added some more, I guess, components to this ritual. And so let me just kind of go through it first for you. So to prepare a bath ritual, you just want to, and everything is done with intention. So you want to get your bathroom very clean. You want to, like Jackie said when she was doing her mirror ritual, you want to, like light some incense, put some candles on, whatever. You can use Epsom salts. You can use crystals. I love to listen to meditation when I'm doing my bath rituals. And again, from the first time that I did like the somatic ritual from Peter Levine's book, and I mean, I used really hot water. I think now that, kind of make it warm. So, I mean, make it hot, but not too hot, because the part of the ritual that I think was the hardest for me is really the next part, which is the somatic healing portion. And it is when you were actually in the bathtub, begin massaging each part of your body. You can start with your feet and, just make your way up. And this, again, connects with Alexander's, the importance of touch and beginning to learn how to touch ourselves in a gentle way. And so, you can massage each part. And while you're rubbing each part of your body, out, like actually speak to your body parts. Thank you for carrying me through this day, or whatever gratitude statement, resonates with you. You can also go deeper. And I mean, I am someone that I thank my organs, I thank my skin, my cells, my protons, my neutrons, everything, my hair follicles. Okay, thank you for allowing me to have this physical experience. And again, know that if you are someone who is processing a lot of trauma, know that performing exercises like this, especially with the added um, energy of the water, which I believe heightens these types of rituals, that it can bring up some really intense emotions. So, and again, remember that emotions are energy in motion. So when these emotions come up, feel it, you breathe into it. And even if your body starts shaking a little bit or crying comes, okay, know that one, it really won't kill you, even if you're like, what the heck is happening? And two, that it is the body's way of releasing, this dense energy that no longer serves, and allowing you to begin to make that somatic sexual healing connection with your body. And so that is the ritual that I kind of took from several different, including Jane Alexander's idea on touch. And every time I do that ritual, I get a deeper understanding of who I am, physically, and how I connect mind, body, spirit. So I would love, for those of you who are listening, I would love for you guys to comment about, any rituals that y'all have done or practices, for your own healing journey. We talked about mirror work and the bath rituals. So yeah, anything else, Jackie, that you'd like to add about this chapter, or anything else?
No, but I'm definitely trying the bath ritual. I mean,
Yes.
and then, I guess beginning even to touch myself. I don't do self massage either. So I love throwing that in there and using the hot water. And luckily, my ex has a huge bathtub that I claim custody of.
Yeah.
And I bought that house. We bought that house for that bathtub, and I, no matter what, continue to go there and have my bath. And I'm a big bath person, but I've never incorporated intention in a healing way into it. It's always just been like a relaxing bath. So I'm totally down for this, and I'm so excited to try. And thank you for letting me know kind of to take it in steps if it does start to bring up some emotions that I am not fully ready to process yet. So thank you. I appreciate that. But I do want to let everybody know that there are numerous ways to enhance and cultivate a sexual experience. This can be individually as well as with a partner. As me and Elizabeth said, we're not currently with partners that are supporting our sexual healing at this point. We're doing it individually. So it is beneficial to research different techniques that facilitate and explore a connection to this divine sexual energy. Truthfully, we want to enhance our sexuality. For us, we recommend Wendy Maltz, The Sexual Healing Journey, and the book we discussed today, The Energy Secret by Jane Alexander. This can just begin to open you up to learning about new, different experiences and approaches that incorporate healing. So just be curious, explore these techniques, and allow yourself to be comfortable trying and modifying as you need.
Thank you, Jackie. Yeah. And I did also want to mention some additional methods to enhance sexual healing, which Jane Alexander recommends as well, and that we will definitely explore in further podcast episodes. This includes a further discussion on sensual touch and massage, self-pleasure, erotic breathing exercises, and definitely exploring the ideas of crystal healing and yoni eggs. So this is all, kind of under the umbrella of sexual healing. And we will begin, continue to discuss these modalities as we try them and, and learn more about this healing journey. So when beginning sexual healing and learning to embrace sacred sexuality, remember, it is important to find what suits you best and to be open to modifying any activities or techniques, like we've said, so they align with your comfort level. So relax your body, breathe, lay back, and explore, because you are worth every second of divine healing and connection.
I just love that. And thank you so much for your in-depth look on your own story and your own techniques that you've used just to begin to understand this on that level. And I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us today as we explored sexual healing and the use of sacred sexual energy to enhance and understand a deep connection to ourselves as well as the divine. Your comments and perspectives are truly important to us, so please reach out. If you have a question for us to explore on our show or any other questions concerning our podcast, go ahead and contact us at sexdrugsandspiritualitypodcast@gmail.com.
And if you'd like to contact us about our individual client offerings, please click the link in our description and be sure to mention that you heard about us on Spotify, guys. We look forward to connecting with our spiritual community at 11 p.m. EST every Saturday on Spotify to explore and integrate the shadow side of our reality.
Till next time, friends. Love and light.
Guys, bye.
Sex, Drugs, and Spirituality Podcast. Elizabeth Maria, Unlimited LLC. And Jackie Lyons of Akashic Energy Healing is not responsible nor liable for any advice, course of treatment, diagnosis, or any other information, services, or products that you obtain through this website.